Caleb Ward dropped to one knee on the wet sidewalk of Linden Street, right there in Harborstone, with traffic hissing behind him and strangers turning their heads like they smelled smoke. His hand shook as he opened a black leather ring case, and the pale blue gemstone inside caught a sharp slice of streetlight. Across from him, a young woman in torn clothes flinched so hard her shoulders hit the brick wall. Her dog, Biscuit, snapped to his feet and bared his teeth. Caleb did not look at the dog. He only looked at her, like if he blinked, she would vanish again. Before we go deeper, take a breath with me and tell me in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is for you right now, because this story turns fast and it turns hard. 3 years earlier, Caleb had been just another rich man with a schedule packed tight. He had been walking with his daughter, Mia Ward, when Mia's ball rolled off the curb. A bus came around the corner too fast, and the driver's face was turned the wrong way. Caleb remembered the sound first, that deep horn blast that made his blood go cold. Then he remembered Tessa Ray, a stranger sprinting like she had fire in her lungs. She grabbed Mia and twisted her body so Mia would fly away from the danger. The bus mirror clipped Tessa's shoulder. She hit the pavement and still tried to stand. When Caleb ran to her, she had already pushed herself up and stumbled away, leaving a smear of blood on the curb like a signature. Caleb never got her name that day. He got it later from a shaky witness who said he heard someone call out Tessa. That was it, one word, one clue, and Caleb had spent 3 years chasing that clue through dead ends and closed doors. He hired investigators. He offered rewards. He checked every shelter list and every hospital record. And every time he thought he was close, the trail broke clean like someone had cut it on purpose. Now here she was, sitting on cardboard, hair tangled, eyes sharp with hunger and caution. Tessa stared at the ring like it was a weapon. Her fingers curled around the strap of her backpack so tight her knuckles turned pale under the dirt. "I'm not bothering anyone," she said fast, voice rough, like it hadn't been used gently in a long time. "I'm not stealing. Please just keep walking." Caleb swallowed hard. His throat worked like it was trying to push down something too big. "Tessa Ray," he said, and his voice cracked right down the middle. "You saved my daughter." Tessa's eyes widened, then narrowed. Her gaze flicked left and right, scanning faces, exits, hands. She was not looking at Caleb anymore. She was looking for danger. "You should not say my name," she whispered. That one sentence hit Caleb harder than a punch. His spine stiffened. He stood up slowly, not because he wanted to tower over her, but because his legs could not hold the kneel anymore. He kept the ring case open anyway, like he was afraid closing it would end the moment. "I looked for you," he said. "Every day. Mia is 9 now. She still talks about the woman who pulled her out of the street." At the word 9, Tessa's breath caught. Her lips parted like she wanted to ask something, but fear stopped it. Biscuit stepped forward, body blocking Tessa's knees, like he knew what men could do. Caleb tried again, softer. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because that bus was not an accident." Tessa froze so completely it was like someone switched her off. Even the dog went still, ears lifted. Caleb lowered his voice until it was only for her. "Someone paid for that driver to look away. Someone wanted my daughter on the road." Tessa's jaw trembled once. Then she swallowed it down, forcing her face blank. She looked at the ring, then at Caleb's expensive suit, then at the phone's filming. "If you're proposing," she said, each word slow, controlled, "you'd better be ready to hear what I want in return." And Caleb realized, with a sick drop in his stomach, that she was not surprised by his secret at all. Because the moment he nodded, Tessa whispered, "Say yes out loud, and I'll tell you who tried to kill your child." Caleb's mouth went dry. He tried to answer, but his tongue felt heavy like it had turned to stone. Around them, people were filming, laughing, muttering, hungry for drama. They thought this was romance. They had no idea it was a crime scene with no tape. He forced his voice steady. "Yes," he said, "I'll say yes to your terms out loud, whatever they are." Tessa did not relax. She shifted her weight as if she might bolt. Biscuit stayed pressed against her legs, the dog's eyes locked on Caleb's hands. Tessa's gaze slid past Caleb's shoulder and she flinched when a tall man in a dark jacket walked by. Caleb noticed it. He saw how her breathing changed. In, out, too fast. Her body remembered something her mouth did not want to say. "Tessa," Caleb began. "Do not use my name like you own it," she snapped, and her voice sliced through the air. Her hands show. "Okay," and she shoved them into her sleeves to hide it. "You want to know why I disappeared? I did not disappear. I got erased." Caleb's heart punched against his ribs. Erased by who? Tessa's eyes shone with anger, but underneath it there was something worse, a tired fear, the kind that never fully sleeps. "Two men," she said. "Uniforms, not the police, but they acted like it. They cornered me after the bus. They said I was a problem. They said if I talked about what I saw, my life would get much colder." Caleb's face tightened. He tried to keep his reaction small, but his fingers curled into fists at his sides. "What kind of uniforms?" Tessa stared at him like she was testing him. "Dark gray, a clean badge on the chest, a red stripe on the sleeve." Caleb's stomach dropped. He knew that stripe. He had signed contracts that carried that same logo, the private security company his corporation used. His eyes flicked away for half a second, and that was enough. Tessa saw it. "You recognize it," she said, almost quietly. "So do not stand there and act shocked like you're the hero." Caleb's voice cracked again, and this time it was anger, not sadness. "I never sent anyone after you." Tessa let out a short, bitter laugh that had no joy inside it. "That is what powerful men say right before they ruin you." Biscuit growled low. Caleb took a step back to give space, but the crowd leaned in hungry. Someone shouted, "Say yes," like this was a show. Caleb turned his body slightly so he blocked Tessa from the worst of the cameras. It was not much, but it was instinct. Protect the smaller person. Protect the target. He had been doing it with Mia for years. Tessa noticed that too, and it confused her. Her eyes narrowed, trying to fit his movement into the story she already believed. Caleb spoke through clenched teeth. "Tell me what happened after you left." Tessa swallowed, her throat bobbed. "I tried to report it," she said. "I went to a station. I told the desk officer I thought the bus was wrong, that the driver did not react like a normal person. The officer looked at me like I was dirt under his shoe. Then he leaned closer and said, 'You should be grateful you are still walking.'" Caleb's breath stopped. "He said that?" Tessa nodded once, sharp. "Then he told me to leave before I made trouble for myself, like trouble was already waiting." Caleb's mind raced. If the police were warned, if security was involved, then this was not a random attack. This was organized, clean, hidden. Tessa shifted again, and her sleeve slipped back enough to show a scar on her shoulder, jagged and old. Caleb stared at it, and his face tightened like he was holding back something that could break him in half. "That should have been treated," he said. "You were bleeding." Tessa's eyes flashed. "Yes, I was bleeding and you were rich, and still no one came to help me. You know what that teaches a person." Caleb did not answer. His silence was answer enough, and it made Tessa angrier. She leaned forward, voice low so only he could hear. "Here is the deal. You want me to go with you. You say my terms out loud right now so there is no twisting later. I want witnesses." Caleb glanced at the phones. He hated them, but he understood her. Proof was protection. "Fine," he said. "Name your terms." Tessa lifted her chin, and her hand stopped shaking for a second, like she had finally grabbed a solid handle in a spinning world. "First," she said, "I will not take your money." Caleb blinked. "What?" "No allowance, no secret cards, no accounts you can freeze when you get bored," she said. "If I step into your life, it will not be because I am bought." Caleb's face went still. He looked like someone had hit him with a truth he did not expect. He swallowed hard. "I agree." That was too fast, too easy. Tessa's eyes tightened again, suspicion rebuilding. And second, she said, voice rising, I want a real job, not a trophy job. I work, I earn, I stand on my own feet. Caleb nodded again. Done. Tessa stared at him, and for the first time her fear mixed with confusion. He was supposed to fight her. He was supposed to demand control. Instead, he looked relieved. And then she took a breath like she was about to jump off a cliff. Third, she said, and her voice lowered until it shook, you are going to build something big enough to keep people alive. Caleb's eyebrows pulled together. What do you mean? Tessa's eyes filled, but she refused to let tears fall. If you want my help, she said, you are going to fund the Safe Harbor Haven. The name landed like a stone. Caleb whispered, that would cost tens of millions. Tessa's hands clenched, nails digging into her palms. Then walk away, she said, because if you want me, you pay the cost in lives saved, not diamonds. Caleb stared at her scar again, then at Biscuit, then back at her face. His voice went quiet and deadly serious. Tell me who tried to kill my child, he said, and I will build your home. Then, Tessa's lips parted and her breath trembled. She leaned close and whispered a name Caleb never expected to hear, and his knees almost gave out. Tessa's whisper was so soft Caleb almost missed it, but the sound of it hit him like metal. It was not the driver, she said. It was the man who paid him. Caleb's hands tightened around the ring case until the leather creaked. Who? He demanded, and his voice came out rougher than he meant. Tessa's eyes flicked to the crowd again. She saw how many phones were still up. She saw how many people loved the word millionaire more than the word danger. Not here, she said. If I say it here, I do not live through the night. Caleb looked at her like he wanted to argue, but something in her face stopped him. This was not a drama. This was survival math. He shut the ring case with a hard click. The sound made Biscuit flinch. Caleb raised his free hand slowly, palm out, showing he was not reaching for anything sharp. Okay, he said. Not here, come with me somewhere safe. Tessa's laugh came out broken. Safe, she repeated, like the word tasted strange. Caleb took off his suit jacket and held it out. Tessa did not take it. Her eyes moved over it, then to his watch, then to the car waiting down the street. She was reading risk in every detail. Your car is a moving cage, she said. Caleb swallowed. Then we walked to the cafe on the corner. Lights, cameras, people, you pick the place. Tessa hesitated, then nodded once, sharp. She stood, wobbling slightly, like her legs had forgotten what steady felt like. When she stepped forward, Biscuit pressed against her shin and walked with her. As they moved, Caleb noticed something that made his skin prickle. A man across the street pretending to scroll on his phone, matching their pace. The man's eyes were too focused, too calm. Caleb shifted so he walked on the outside between Tessa and the street. It looked like manners. It was not. It was a shield. Tessa noticed the shift. Her jaw tightened. You think someone is watching, she said. Caleb kept his eyes forward. I know someone is. The cafe's bell chimed as they entered. Warm air hit Tessa's face, and she blinked like she had forgotten what warmth felt like. She did not sit in the soft booth. She chose a hard chair with her back to a wall, eyes on the door. Biscuit curled under her feet, but his ears stayed up. Caleb ordered water first. Not coffee, not food. Water. It was the first thing a person needed when they had been ignored too long. Tessa watched him do it, and her suspicion shook, just a little. It made her angry because it meant she might be wrong about him, and being wrong could get her killed. Caleb leaned forward, voice low. Tell me everything, he said. Tessa's hands wrapped around the water cup like it was an anchor. Her fingers trembled against the plastic lid. I used to work at Bright Steps Outreach, she said. I was a youth case manager. I helped kids who ran from violence. I helped young moms find housing. I kept lists of safe beds, clinics, counselors. Then the funding vanished. Overnight. The doors closed. People I promised to help, I had to tell them there was nothing left. Caleb's throat moved. Why didn't you come to me? I would have helped. Tessa's eyes snapped up. Because your company's name was on the paperwork Jade showed me, she said. Caleb froze. Jade. Tessa's face tightened like a wound being touched. She blinked hard, but her eyes still shined. Jade was 17, she said. She slept under a loading dock. One night she found documents in a trash bag behind an office building. She thought it was proof someone was stealing money meant for shelters. She kept them close like a shield. Tessa's voice shook, but she forced it straight. She told me there was a plan called Haven Diversion. She said the wrong people used fake charities to move money around, and anyone who asked questions got scared into silence. Caleb's breath came shallow. Haven Diversion is not a real program, he said. Not one I approve of. Tessa leaned in, eyes burning. Then why was your company on the pages? Caleb opened his mouth, but no sound came. His hands tightened again, and the ring case creaked a second time. This time, it did not sound romantic. It sounded like pressure. Tessa went on, and her voice broke on the next words. Jade died 6 months ago, she said. She froze behind an abandoned warehouse. I held her and begged for help. No one came. Not the city, not a shelter, not a clinic. She died because the system had holes and she fell through. Caleb's eyes dropped to the table. His shoulders rose and fell like he was trying to breathe through a heavy weight. Tessa's face hardened again. So I do not want your ring, she said. I want the safe harbor haven. I want doctors, beds, counseling, training, and child care. I want a place where a kid like Jade does not die holding someone's hand in the cold. Caleb's voice came out hoarse. If. I agree, he said. You'll tell me the name. Tessa nodded once. And I'll do one more thing, she said. Caleb looked up. Tessa's eyes were steady now, and that steadiness was terrifying. I'll meet your mother, she said, but only because you said she's dying and dying people deserve peace. Caleb's face softened for a second, then tightened again. Tonight, he said, please. Tessa stared at him, then at Biscuit, then at the door. She made her choice with a slow exhale. Tonight, she agreed. As they stood to leave, the man across the street stepped away from his phone and started walking toward the cafe. Tessa grabbed Caleb's sleeve and hissed, Do not turn around, because the man approaching wore the same red-striped uniform. Caleb's body went rigid. His jaw tightened so hard it looked painful. He did not turn around, but his hand moved slightly, like he was ready to block a blow. Tessa's fingers dug into his sleeve. Her voice was barely a breath. That uniform, she said, that is them. Caleb's heart hammered. He forced himself to keep his face calm. He leaned close and spoke through his teeth. Stay behind me, he whispered. Tessa almost laughed at that, and it was not a kind sound. You cannot stand between me and a bullet, she murmured, but you can stand between me and a lie. The man stepped into the cafe doorway and paused, scanning. His eyes landed on Tessa like he had been looking for her all day. Tessa's shoulders lifted toward her ears. Biscuit growled, low and steady. Caleb did not wait. He pulled out his phone and dialed, but his finger hesitated over the contact list. Security. He had used them for years. Now he did not know which side they were on. He hung up without calling. Instead, Caleb did something Tessa did not expect. He took the ring case and slid it into his pocket like he was putting away a dream. Then he stepped forward, right into the path of the uniformed man. Can I help you? Caleb asked, his voice smooth and polite like a business meeting. The man's smile was thin. Mr. Ward, he said, we need a word. Tessa's stomach dropped at the way the man said Caleb's name like he owned it. Caleb's eyes narrowed, but he kept his posture calm. His hands stayed visible. About what? Caleb asked. The man's gaze flicked past Caleb to Tessa. About a witness who has been causing confusion, he said. Tessa's breath hitched. Caleb's hand twitched once, like he wanted to grab the man by the collar. Leave, Caleb said, and the politeness drained out. Now. The uniformed man's smile did not change. "I do not take orders from you," he replied. That sentence was the clue. Caleb heard it and his face changed. His eyes hardened with certainty. "You do not," Caleb repeated softly. "So who do you take them from?" The uniformed man's smile faltered for half a second. Tessa saw that crack and moved. She shoved her backpack strap higher, hooked Biscuit's collar and stepped toward the back exit. Her legs shook, but her choices were sharp. Caleb turned just enough to block the uniformed man's path. "Tessa," he said, not as an order but as a plea, "come with me. I can protect you." Tessa's eyes flashed with anger. "Protect me," she whispered. "You did not even know I was being hunted until 5 minutes ago." Caleb flinched. The truth stung because it was fair. He lowered his voice. "I know," he said, "and I'm sorry, but I am trying now." The uniformed man stepped closer. His hand moved toward his jacket pocket. Tessa's breath froze. Then Biscuit lunged. The dog snapped at the man's wrist, not to kill, but to stop. The man jerked back, swearing. Chairs scraped. People screamed. Cups hit the floor and shattered like small explosions. Caleb grabbed Tessa's arm. "Move," he said. They ran. Out the back door into the alley, shoes splashing through dirty water. Tessa stumbled, and Caleb caught her elbow before she hit the ground. His grip was firm but not cruel. Still, it made her tense because any grip could become a cage. They reached Caleb's car. Tessa shook her head hard. "No," she panted, "he will follow." Caleb looked around, eyes scanning, calculating. Then he pointed to a delivery van parked nearby, engine running, driver smoking. He walked up, pulled out cash, and spoke fast. The driver's eyes widened, then he nodded. Caleb opened the side door. Tessa stared. "What are you doing?" Caleb's voice was tight. "Borrowing a disguise," he said. They climbed into the van. The smell of oil and cardboard filled the air. Biscuit pressed against Tessa's ankle, trembling. Tessa's chest rose and fell like she could not get enough air. The van rolled out, slow, blending into traffic like it belonged. Tessa's hands shook so badly she had to hold them between her knees. "If you take me to your house," she whispered, "and this is a setup, I will never forgive you." Caleb looked straight ahead. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "If this is a setup," he said, voice raw, "I will never forgive myself." They reached Caleb's townhouse. Lights were on inside. A calm, warm glow that should have felt safe, but Tessa's stomach twisted at it because danger often wore soft light. At the door, Caleb paused. He did not open it right away. He listened, head tilted slightly, like he was trying to hear the truth through the walls. Then he used a key and stepped in first. "Tessa," he whispered, "stay close." Inside, the air smelled like medicine. Tessa knew that smell. Hospitals, sick rooms, the smell of time running out. A woman's cough echoed from upstairs. It was deep and wet, like it scraped the lungs raw. "That's my mother," Caleb said, and his voice cracked again. "Evelyn Ward." Tessa's chest tightened. She followed him up the stairs, each step feeling like a decision she could not undo. In the upstairs sitting room, Evelyn Ward sat in a chair with a blanket on her lap, skin pale, eyes sharp. Her hand shook around a teacup. When she saw Tessa, her lips parted, and her breath caught like she had seen a ghost. Tessa stiffened. Evelyn's eyes were not kind, they were careful. Caleb tried to smile. "Mom," he said softly, "this is Tessa Ray, the woman who saved Mia." Evelyn stared at Tessa's face like she was reading a hidden code. "I know who she is," Evelyn said. Caleb blinked, stunned. "What?" Evelyn's voice was low. "I have been waiting for her," she said. Tessa's knees almost buckled. Biscuit whined. Caleb's head turned sharply, confusion snapping into fear. Tessa forced her voice steady. "Why?" she asked. Evelyn lifted one trembling finger and pointed toward the hallway. "Because the day Mia was almost killed," Evelyn said, "someone inside this family started a fire." Caleb's breath stopped. What are you saying? Evelyn swallowed and pain crossed her face like a shadow. I am saying, she whispered, that the bus was paid for, yes, but the payment did not come from the street. Tessa's heart slammed. Caleb took a step back like the floor moved under him. Evelyn's eyes flicked toward a closed study door. Tessa, she said, you think Caleb is the monster in this story. That is the easy story, the safe story. Tessa's hands clenched. Then what is the true one? Evelyn's voice sharpened. The true one is that Caleb has been trying to protect Mia from someone close, she said, and he has been failing. Caleb's face went tight with panic. Mom, stop, he whispered. But Evelyn did not stop. She leaned forward, coughing, gripping the arm of her chair until her knuckles whitened. I was on the board of Bright Steps Outreach, Evelyn said. I saw money disappear. I saw reports vanish. I saw the names of witnesses get erased. Tessa's vision blurred. Bright Steps, she breathed, and her voice shook. You were part of it. Evelyn's eyes filled, but she did not let tears fall. I tried to stop it, she said. I failed, and when I tried again, they made me sick with stress and silence. Caleb's throat worked. That's not true, he said, but his voice lacked strength, like even he did not fully believe himself anymore. Tessa backed away from both of them, breath ragged. Her mind raced to Jade's documents, to the uniformed man, to the officer at the station, threads tightening into a net. Then Tessa remembered something else, the photo. She had not seen it yet, but she felt it. She had been watched. Caleb moved toward her, hands raised. Tessa, he pleaded, please. She flinched hard. Do not touch me, she said. Not until I know if you're hunting me or hiding me. Caleb froze. Evelyn pointed down the hall again, finger shaking. The person who ordered the sabotage, she said, voice barely holding together, is in this house right now. Tessa's blood turned to ice. Caleb's eyes widened in horror, and he whispered one word that sounded like a prayer and a warning at the same time. Mia. A floorboard creaked upstairs, and Tessa realized someone was already moving toward the child. The hallway went silent in a way that felt wrong, like the house was holding its breath. Caleb moved first, but not fast. He moved carefully, like a man walking through a room full of glass. His eyes darted to the stairs, then to the locked doors, then to Tessa. Stay here, he whispered. Tessa's jaw tightened. She stepped forward anyway. No, she said, and her voice came out steady even while her legs trembled. If someone is going to reach Mia, it will be over my body again. Caleb's face flickered with pain at that. He nodded once, and the nod looked like surrender. They moved together. Behind them, Evelyn coughed hard, gripping the blanket, her shoulders shaking. Caleb, she rasped, if you survive this, you tell the truth, all of it. Caleb did not answer. He could not. His mouth was too tight, his eyes too wet, like one wrong breath would break him. A soft thump came from Mia's room. Not a scream, not a crash, something small, a drawer opening, a window latch. Tessa's heart slammed so hard she felt dizzy. Biscuit growled, low and steady, then slipped ahead, nails clicking softly on the floor. They reached the door. It was partly open. Caleb's hand hovered near the knob, shaking. He looked at Tessa, and for a second he looked like a boy, not a millionaire, like someone about to lose everything. Tessa inhaled, then pushed the door open wide. Mia was by her bed, frozen, clutching a stuffed toy to her chest so tight the fabric wrinkled. Her eyes were wide and wet. In the shadow near the window stood a person in dark clothing, face half covered, one hand on the window frame like they were ready to disappear into the night. For 1 second, everyone stopped. Then Biscuit launched forward with a snarl that ripped the quiet apart. The intruder stumbled, arms swinging out. Tessa flinched, expecting a weapon, but the hand held only a bundle of papers. Caleb moved like a storm. He tackled the intruder to the floor, pinning them hard. The mask slipped. The light hit the face. Tessa's breath left her body. It was someone Mia knew. Someone who walked into this house like they belonged. Mia made a broken sound, halfway between a sob and a gasp. "Why?" she whispered. The intruder's eyes were wild, not with hate but with panic. "I was trying to stop it," they choked out. "I was trying to stop the bigger person." Caleb's voice cracked as he held them down. "You nearly got my child killed," he said. His hands shook so badly his grip almost failed. Police sirens grew louder outside, but Tessa did not feel relief. She stared at the papers in the intruder's hand because she recognized the header. Haven Diversion. And at the bottom, a signature line that was not filled in yet. A space waiting for a name higher than all of them. As the police pulled the intruder up, a single page slid free, and Tessa saw a list of targets. Her name was not the first one. Days later, Harborstone looked the same on the outside, but Tessa felt different inside, like her bones had been reset. She stood on an empty lot with cracked pavement and weeds pushing through, holding a clipboard with building plans stamped in bold letters. The Safe Harbor Haven. Caleb stood beside her, not in a suit this time. His sleeves were rolled up. His hands were dirty from moving debris. Every now and then he glanced at Tessa like he was waiting for her to vanish again. Each time, he forced himself to look away, like he was learning not to grab. Mia sat on the curb with Biscuit, feeding him small pieces of a sandwich. The girl's eyes followed Tessa the way a child watches a door that used to slam. Evelyn watched from a car nearby, wrapped in a blanket thinner now, but her gaze steadier. When she coughed, she pressed a tissue to her mouth and smiled anyway, like she was fighting for one more day to see something good begin. Tessa did not put on the pale blue gemstone ring. She kept it in the black leather ring case, tucked deep in her bag. Not because she hated it, but because she needed to choose love later, after safety was real. That afternoon, a sealed envelope arrived. No return address. Tessa's hands shook as she opened it, and her breath caught when she saw the name written inside. Jade. The letter was short. The paper smelled faintly like smoke and rain. Jade had warned Tessa about Caleb, yes, but the last lines flipped the truth like a blade turning in the light. Jade believed Caleb was also a target, and Jade had been hiding evidence to protect him until the right moment. Tessa's knees weakened. She leaned against the fence and stared at the final page, where a single sentence was underlined twice. The person you think is the villain is the shield. If this story left you holding your breath, pass it to someone who needs a reminder that hope can be built with hands, not wishes. Because as Tessa folded the letter, she noticed one name missing from the evidence list, meaning the real leader was still out there, watching the Safe Harbor Haven rise.